smoke in the air, and the smell is hypnotic with a strawberry switch blunt with a whole lot of chronic in a pocket, with a wallet, with a whole lot of nada. I be stressed, but it got me in the ethereal mode, with a serious soul in a cereal bowl. Like I'm searching for the sunflower, I'ma go on the road, but keep my mind open infinite like the Konami code. Hip-hop is my soul. Hope you looking when he's rapping, B-boy spinning to the beat like Mugen when he's scrapping. I'm jugging and I'm lapping on my way to Shangri-La, but some live, some die in the way of the samurai. Hear my battle cry, I might stay late and keep my fresh on a sideways 8. Yeah, I might make babes. All I need is some risotto and a cosplay chick that was born in Kyoto. Why? But that's a no-no if I ain't got that protection B. I keep my sword sheath, I don't need no BM stressing me. I wonder if there's a message, G, when I hear these new rappers. I ain't hating you rappers, but I prefer the boom bappers. It's the truth rappers, it's the war of the words. And I'm standing on top the castle representing the third. I guess you ain't heard, I'm following my destiny, following the God of fools, father to the death of me. A cross on my chest and resolve in my heart. Ain't shit you can do to bring a stop to this march, bring a stop to this art. You must be JK, and I grab the mic and get loud like an AK spray, and then I stay laying this heat over beats. I got the resolve of a beast, so girl, put your knees over these shoulders right here. They holding up the world already. Mujushin style stabbings got your girl all sweaty. Yeah, you mad, bro? My bad, I'm in my zone. Miyamoto Musashi with the microphone. The best squad in the city is watching my back. I might hit you with a two-piece like Mataza the Zap. I'm just talking that crap. I'm a peaceful warrior. Yeah, my flow Mega Man. I'll defeat and absorb you while I'm hungover off gin and soda. I'm a fucking hero, dog, man. I beat Genova. Word to Jehovah. Right hand on the rhyme. The way I'm rapping these lines, so you can examine my mind. Take a step inside. Don't be afraid. I'll let the beat lead me while I lead the way. And I seen today as I read the sermon that all I can tell you's only death is certain, but the way of the samurai is found in death. You might hear a lot of deep shit, but mine sounds the best. Yes, yeah. This one, baby. KV Anime on the beat. Hood Hemingway. Hot damn, hot damn, hot damn, yeah, 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 hot damn. Hot damn, hot damn, hot damn, yeah, 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 yeah. Hot damn, it's hot out here, but I'm sipping on some Pinot. Yeah, you probably heard of me somewhere, maybe Sumino. Yeah, I love Hina, not as much as Ray Hino. Studied under Grace, yeah, boy, I feel like Gino. She horny like she kinda a. Bitch got tits like Sonic Day. Catch me in that box like a motherfucking solid snake. Golden week forever, man, every day a holiday. Catch me up on top and posted up, sipping Ramune like, stocky bottomless. Slizzy on the Nautilus, my bitch is 2D, but she looking like a model bitch. I'm nerving on the capsule like I'm Tetsuo Academy. Spit it with that weave shit, who the ever thought of this? Mix it with the G-Talk, feel like Cowboy Bebop. I Nico knees, fuck around and hit a C-Walk. Don't know how to go right, boy, I'm walking on the treetop. Big chicken on mail, man, R.I.P. the 3-part. Bobbing and weaving. Everywhere I go, they like, boy, you got 'em fiending there. That weave, y'all. Feel like Keenan, but they calling me the guy for a whole nother reason. Bobbing and weaving. Everywhere I go, they like, boy, you got 'em fiending there. That weave, y'all. Feel like Keenan, but they calling me the guy for a whole nother reason.
Yeah, bobbing, I weave like a boss. Sip, I got sauce. Haters just mad 'cause they lost. Like an AC, that's lossless. Love a go high, that's topless. I don't talk shit, I just make hits. But ironically, that's the same bitch. Nigga get a whole lot of hate lately. Just cut 'em off like an ex-baby. I rap crazy, that's weave talk like me. Hulk, cut a nigga down. AG, man, that's a fucking town. Get money, no time to fuck around. Blow that shit on Dojins. Only Chinese always going. That's what co-eyes always screaming for my essence. They be feeling, ooh. Get paid for a show, then stack them Dojins to the ceiling. Who better than the senpai when they bump me in your region too? Been making this fire like I'm Zuko, clapping overdue. Buffin' girls been getting wet like brutal since I first came through. It's unfair, but I don't care. These show girls throw they underwear. Her stockings, I'm about to tear. She riding like my dick's a fair. Came in like a fucking ball, left without a fucking law. Guilty gear, I troll like false. Bobbin' weave, but I still floss.
Hot damn, yeah. Hot damn. Yeah. Hot damn, it's hot out here, but I'm sipping. What up, man? Listen, home, by popular demand, Pnoid's now selling merch. Man, look here, all right? We got 3 designs. We got the Pnoid Gorilla regular avatar. We have the Red Dead Redemption. And on top of that, man, listen, we got motherfucking Angry Gorilla, all right? We got t-shirts. We have onesies for your baby. Take your baby and turn it into a baby gorilla. On top of that, we got pillows. Come cuddle up with the gorilla. And on top of that, we got cell phones and mugs. Cop you some merch right now.
All right, Tom Pease, we are live.
What up, and welcome to motherfucking Pnoid Live. Man, listen, we got a hell of a show lined up for you, and I actually got like a fungus swayed the motherfucking stream, right? So like, you know, we got like a whole bunch of articles lined up. We got a bunch of things to break down. We have so much shit to cover. Legit, we're gonna be pounding you with monster amounts of fucking information. And I mean, real talk, it's gonna be fucking awesome. Like we got, I'm like, yo, man, look, I want to bring you actual information on these streams. Excel said, like, yo, we should probably start with at least an idea. And I was like, well, you know, Tom Pease goes 100 miles an hour or nothing, right? So like, this is how I do what I do.
Well, so that's what I said. Like, occasionally the shows work out where we have no fucking clue what we're going to talk about. But generally, the best shows are the ones where we've got something, right? It might not be super important. It might not even turn out to be central to the show. But we can always go back to it if we need to.
Yeah, I got you. Like usually when we have some type of topic we want to discuss, you know what I mean, it's good. And I'll be honest with you.
like my economic stuff has been really hitting as far as things are concerned recently, and everybody knows that the economy's in a downturn, and you know, the fucking news won't admit it and they won't talk about it. So guess what? We're gonna hit it hard over here. And it's safer, it's easier to talk about. We don't have to worry about like getting struck about nonsense or, you know, getting copyright censored or any of the fucking bullshit that goes with it. Yeah, so I think it's a much better thing to talk about.
On that YouTube list of words you can't say, economics was not listed. Exactly. A lot of other ones were, like election, Trump. Can't say those. Abuser.
Yeah, rape. Like, you can't say any of those type of words. I mean, but what we can say is economics and modern monetary theory.
They've got boobs down, right? Like, if you say anything about boobs, tits, breast, any of that, demonetized.
What about cookie nipples?
Nipples would probably get you.
Jesus Christ, these fucking people. I swear to God. Anyway, right. Yo, the new left is just like the old right. New boss, same as the old boss. And we're gonna get back into that here in a little while. Legit. Like, man, listen, me and Exel, we're gonna be breaking some shit the fuck down today. You know what I mean? I got like 7 articles to get through, and like once we get through these 7 fucking articles and shit, then you know what I'm saying? We're gonna have a nice long conversation about modern monetary theory, right? And it sounds really boring, but it's really fucking patently dangerous. All right, it's super fucking dangerous.
Yeah, and the reason it's becoming mainstream isn't because a whole lot of economists actually think it's a great idea. It's because a whole lot of politicians love the idea.
Yeah, because like they can spend as much now. They think that they can spend as much as they fucking want to, you know what I mean, and have no recourse for anything. They don't have to worry about paying for it.
I think that's these really guys are right, because then I don't have to feel bad later whenever the economy collapses under the weight of its own debt. I can blame that bad economist.
Yo, we can't blame a bad economist, but it doesn't matter. By the time the fucking, you know, I mean, the roosters are here to fucking croup for shit, you know, I mean, they're gonna end up being gone, the same as it's been for like the last, you know, fucking whatever, how fucking long, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, just like in the 1930s and 40s, they set up all these fucking pension funds that are gonna end up destroying our entire fucking local economies.
Even in the 30s and 40s, he said that the economic woes today are due to the ideas of bad economists of yesterday, right? Yeah. And that was in the 40s, and that's still just been true.
Oh, absolutely. Like, but that's really what it is. You know what I'm saying? Oh, and the greasy shekel and my shilling motherfucking shirts now. Yes, I am.
By the way, I want to say new. That's been going on for like 8 months.
Yeah, dude. Like, man, look, we got a T Public. You know what
I'm saying? It's not even a new commercial.
Yeah, it's really not. Like, I brought this fucking commercial out back in like the fucking spring, you know, like anyway. Let me say what up to the chat real quick. Tanuki, what up, Rome? What up, motherfucking Mike Q? How you doing? The greasy shekel. Motherfucking welcome. My boy anti-hero Victor Rand, Colin McLeod, Iraqi Food Court. And I'm saying welcome. And Dan the Defiant. Man, look, thank you everybody for coming the fuck out. It's really appreciated. You know what I'm saying? We got love for everybody out here. But real shit, we got a lot of shit to go over tonight. A lot of shit. And you know, neutral bastard, radical Rick, what up, man? Well, fucking welcome, man. Welcome. Thank you for coming the fuck out. You know what I mean? So let's get started with the first article, the motherfucking corporate debt bubble. Exel, my nigga, is you motherfucking ready, man? Because I gave this nigga like 7 articles an hour before the show.
On the screen.
All right, man. Thank you. It's appreciated. All right, so the corporate debt bubble. All right, let's have a conversation about what's going on with this corporate debt bubble. All right, there's some ridiculous shit going on. Okay, so corporate debt to GDP is at its highest level in all the recorded history. 50% of that debt is BBB or 1 level above junk. Decreased cash flows and less corporate debt demand in a recession will stop buybacks and lead to insolvency in the junk bond market. Basically, all right, here's the situation. So the vast majority of these corporate bonds that they've been putting out, they've been using to buy back their own fucking shares. All right. That's what these companies have been doing so that their stock doesn't collapse and everybody, their companies don't end up getting bought out by another company. That's really what that's what most of this shit the fuck's about. Right. And this may lead to another wave of bailouts, increased sovereign debt will lead to Japanese and European like economic malaise unless the U.S. creates inflation. And inflation is the only way to fucking be able to have these bonds continue to, gain value. That's really what they're going on. But the reason why I'm reading this article right now, right, is because of the paragraph down here. It says the corporate debt bubble. The bull market success is undoubtedly in the corporate debt sector. Corporate debt has doubled since the 2008 crisis. Corporate debt to GDP is at its highest level in all of recorded history. Naturally, too much debt lowers your credit quality. This is evident by the fact that roughly 50% of the corporate debt is triple B. If anybody's seen The Big Short, all right, like if you know anything about how debt is structured, it's rated triple A. It's rated It's triple A, double A.
Yeah. Triple A, double A, triple B, double B, B.
Right. Yeah.
B, F.
Right.
I mean, I don't think there's an F debt because nobody would look it out.
Well, anything below single B, right, is and I mean fucking like really bad, right? It's fucking junk. Okay, it's garbage. And junk bond people, it's a small market. And I mean, it's one of the things like they're kind of like they're like penny stock buyers is kind of the deal. They don't even really get traded. And it's like it's a weird place to be. But here's the thing, right? The explosion of triple B debt can be seen by the second chart below. AT&T has amassed 191 billion of total debt. Ford has 157 billion of debt, but a much less manageable 450% debt to equity ratio. Yo, right?
Yeah, that's absolutely. So that's a company, and you just. I mean, we have the same issue, right? Like our debt to GDP, which I don't believe the GDP numbers, but even if you take their word for it, right? Our national debt is over what we make in a year. And Ford's sitting there saying it's over 4 times what they make in a year.
Well, let me put it like this, all right? Ford in 2018. All right, actually, we're gonna move. Let's move to the next article because I think it's goddamn important and shit. Which is Ford's fucking profits, right? Down more than 50%, right?
Oh wait, it goes BA. Okay, yeah, they do even more. You have triple B, then BA. That's so stupid. All right.
Yeah, it's dumb. Right. All right. So Ford Motor Company made $3.7 billion in 2018. According to the last article, all right, they're $157 billion in debt. And they make $3.7 billion a year. Can anybody do the math on that for me by chance? Like how long it would take for them to pay that shit the fuck off? Excel, you want to help me out here a little bit?
I was in the wrong article.
Okay, I got you. Right? Yeah, like we're going to the Detroit Ford joint, right?
Yeah.
Detroit
wait. So this first one. All right, hold on. The first one actually says that 450% debt to equity. Okay, yeah. So if they only profit 3.7 billion per year, that means they get to never pay it off.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. They made $3.7 billion in 2018, right? So Ford lost $116 million in the fourth quarter of 2018, right? The first quarter they lost since the fourth quarter of 2016. The fourth quarter loss was driven largely by a remeasurement on pension plans. Shank said Wednesday the financial markets took a sharp decline at the end of the year and that negatively affected global pensions. And by the way, GE just decided that they're going to freeze 20,000 pensions in 2020. Next article is, yeah, what up?
Yeah, I just want to point out real quick. GE stocks plummeted, and I bought it at a low risk because I think they're gonna get bailed out for GE is well connected, so I'm gonna give me some of that bailout money indirectly. We'll see what happens. Invest in these shitty companies cheap and gamble on the government bailing them out. Trust me, that's the only way you're going to see that money. Yeah.
This is why we call this hockey.
You got to put on your goddamn hockey mask and go around terrorizing people, man. If you want to make it in this economy, that's how you got to do it.
Yeah, right. So the next article is Ford's debt rating is downgraded to junk by Moody's, right? So Moody's Investor Service late Monday downgraded Ford Motor Company's debt ratio to BA1, right? So that BA shit, that's all junk, all right? Anything fucking, it's or non-investment speculative grade from BAA3. The outlook is stable, Moody said. The downgrade reflects the considering operating and market challenges facing Ford and the weak earnings and cash generation likely as the company pursues a lengthy and costly restructuring plan. Because Ford said that it's no longer a car company. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what to say at that point. You know what I mean? Like, legit. I have no idea exactly what to say.
Based on what they said, they the number of bailouts they went through and what the unions want, it's really just a government subsidized work program. Right?
Yeah, basically.
Nowadays they make underwhelming cars at an overwhelming price, and they do so at a crap profit margin.
Well, no, they are no longer going to make cars. That's the thing. They said they're no longer going to make cars anymore.
Great. Good.
Like, like they're still going to make trucks. Like that's still their bread and butter. Like the Ford F-150 makes a ridiculous amount of money.
Roman Volition is asking, well, Tom likes unions, but unions can go awry. Anyway, let's keep going. Tom's telling the story here, but if you I know some of us weren't at peak working age whenever the first financial or the Great Recession hit, back in 2008. But a lot of this sounds familiar. It's just instead of bad housing debt, we're talking about corporate debt.
Oh, we're going to get there too. Like, we are going to motherfucking get there too. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I wanted to show you what's going on with Ford. And this is, how do I put this? This is a fucking worldwide problem with cars right now. All right. Anybody in the auto transportation sector, who makes cars just as an in general thing, they legitimately are having issues right now selling them. At this moment right now, everybody is down anywhere between 6 and 35%. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where it's at with the entire market as far as things are concerned, as far as transportation and cars and everything of this nature. So Ford is not alone. Hyundai is killing the sedan models. Toyota's killing the Corolla. Is it the Corolla or the Camry? One of the two. I think it's killing the Corolla. Subaru's planning on murdering shit. They're down about 30%. Like, it's just across the board type of thing. So Ford's murdering everything but the Mustang, and I think the F-150 and F-250 and some of the SUVs that they make. But they're no longer going to be making sedans. GM's stopped making a lot of the Cadillacs and shit of this nature. So this is not unique to Ford, but Ford is really suffering because Ford decided to try and restructure its entire business while there's a downturn in the fucking market that's worse than anything we've ever seen before. Legit. So the next one. All right. So the next one is, I do believe, let me see here. Where am I at? Do I even have this one loaded up? Oh, the CRE, man. The CRE. Fucking, the fucking credit criteria, the fucking corporate, Sorry, man. I'm trying to sit here and fucking do all this as I'm
commercial real estate.
Yeah, commercial real estate numbers are slipping. There we go. Okay, up front. The CRE numbers are slipping. All right. The outlook for commercial real estate is expected to moderate over the next 3 years, according to the latest forecast for the Urban Land Institute. The outlook for commercial real estate is expected to moderate over the next 3 years. For capital markets and real estate growth will continue, it found, but at a slower pace than previous years. All right. Oh, you whore. Oh, man. Yo, fucking won't let me look at it no more. These fucking bastards. God damn it. Excel, read for me.
I got the same shit. You just got paywalled.
I got fucking paywall. These
We'll
fucking
see.
bastards.
We'll see if archive.is can cheat paywall. So what I was doing that other day, you're like, what the fuck were you doing? Because every time you go to archive.is and try to do stuff, it starts.
Yo, it's cool.
It looks like
it's
I'm
cool.
trying to. It looks like I'm trying to hack the fucking Matrix. But yeah, this is all. And one thing we haven't mentioned yet is where did all this credit come from?
I mean, it couldn't be the $17 billion or the $17 trillion that they pumped into the fucking economy between 2008 and 2011.
That's what's missing from all these articles is the Federal Reserve injected a whole bunch of banks and started, they had so much money that the interest rates were so low that they just basically started giving away free money, right? I mean, 0% interest rate money is basically free money.
Yeah.
So all these companies took it.
Yeah. I mean, and the Fed just massively expanded its balance sheet. It just stood there and took on a whole bunch of debt. And like everybody who thinks that the Federal Reserve is some like shadow agency that's all, fucking crazy. Reality is it's a magic trick to fool dumb people. All right. It's a central bank that isn't linked to the US government so that the US government doesn't look like it has all the debt.
Yeah. It's also, so the idea was for the Fed to not be political, but it's private only in the sense that there's very limited tools for Congress or anybody to have oversight over the Federal Reserve. The best they can do is the president appoints the chair.
Well, okay. The reason for this is I'm explaining this to you the way like I understand it as best I can. It's kind of like having a buddy who picks up the tab for everything you do. All right. And when like he's in some massive amounts of fucking problems, and you're kind of financially sound, you can look at that guy and go, dude, man, you need to be more responsible with your fucking money. Right? Like, that's kind of what the Fed is. All right. The Fed is a lender of last resort for the banks and for the fucking government. But government,
that's what they say. Hold on, that's what they say it is. But I'm sorry, it's never been that. It's always been a scam, if you ask me. I'm a fan of the whole theory, like what the creature from Jekyll Island, because
I remotely agree with you, right? But on the same point, okay, so before the creature for Jekyll Island, all right, before that happened, like what they stood here and did was JP Morgan, when the United States got into trouble and they needed money, JP Morgan was bailing out the government. So instead of him just bailing out the government, they created a quasi-government entity, which would basically be a way for these banks to be able to fund the government, right? And to be able to sell bonds to the rest of the world so that we can continue to live a lifestyle that we wanted to live. Now, and it was cool up until like 1978 when they decided that, we were going to go the other way with it. And we ended up being, instead of being the world's largest creditor nation, we became the world's largest debtor nation by 1986. I think it was like June 13th, 1986 was the date that happened. But all right, we can move forward. I'm not really concerned about that article. That's not murder and shit as far as I'm concerned.
Well,
right, we can go to the
archive.is failed to
that's cool. That's cool.
Get rid of the paywall. So anyway,
it's cool. I got
summarize the point on that one.
Commercial real estate's falling down because fucking massive amounts of retail space is being left wide open, like especially after like all these big stores are closing in the mall, what they call anchor stores, and they're being filled up by Dollar Generals, and they're ending up standing here not having the same amount of money being traded inside of the commercial real estate that they used to be able to be traded in. It's kind of like, how much money did commercial real estate make? Right. And that's how much money you can charge for commercial real estate. Like, it's kind of like interchangeable. And so, one kind of feeds the other one. So like the reality is that when you have a store like JC Penney's or Sears or, Macy's or wherever the case might be closed down, you end up having a store like Dollar General might go in. But the thing is that Dollar General does not make the same amount of money that fucking like a JCPenney or a Sears did because of the fucking markup on their their goods.
So you got to drop the price of the real estate in order to accommodate the people willing to take the estate.
There we go. But I found out about something here recently that's fucking ridiculous. I actually found out about this today in New Jersey while I was going down to fucking 287, right? Because I was sitting, as I told you, I was sitting here listening to Raoul Paul talk to a guy about this strange phenomenon. All right. So this is thousands of New York City residents still living in foreclosed homes. This is a very interesting thing that I had no idea they were doing. This sounds humanitarian on the surface, but the reality is much darker. So thousands of metro area residents are still living in their foreclosed homes, even after ownership is reverted to the bank. In its first look at the phenomenon, foreclosure research firm Realty Track estimates more than half of the 4,475 metro New York bank-owned properties are still occupied by the people who used to own them. 70% or more bank-owned properties in the 5 boroughs are being lived in by their former owners. Nationwide, the total is 47%.
Holy shit.
Okay, let's talk about this. All right, I found out about this today. Here's the situation. So, ever since the financial collapse, remember 2007, 2008, 2009, when you had all these fucking adjustable rate mortgages that were giving out to fucking people who couldn't afford them, all right?
Yeah. All of a sudden, the value of their property was worth less than the total amount that the loan that they would have to pay back.
That's normal. That happened, right? But that's not the fucking point. The point was is that they couldn't afford to live there, right? They could no longer afford the payment once the fucking arm kicked in and payment price doubled.
It was a combination of those things, right? That's part of what jacked up the interest rate, right? So you bought a house for $100,000, you paid off $10,000 of it, and then now it's only worth $80,000, and you owe $90,000, and the interest rate gets jacked up exponentially.
Well, yeah, that happens, but the problem is that the payment doubled. Right, that was the issue, right? Because fucking, like the adjustable rate went from like say the teaser rate of 1% or 0.5%, whatever, to 5 or 6%, or APR.
And this was all because we wanted to get loans out to poor people.
Okay, so let's keep going. Let's take this to its conclusion. Now, these people who got these fucking loans, do you think all of them were covered in 2008 and 2009?
No, there's no way. Not in 2019, no.
It continued on, but here's what they did. Instead of standing here, all right, having these individuals fucking get kicked out of their houses and them lose their homes, and their homes go up on the market and then flood the market, which would end up collapsing housing prices nationwide.
Which would actually be a good thing for people that were frugal with their money saved and wanted to buy a house because they could get a good deal.
Would be. Okay, I agree with you. They didn't do this. What they did was they let the fucking people stay there and didn't sell the houses to keep up prices of real estate.
There's got to be more to it.
That's it.
Banks avoid the cost of maintaining the property. The homeowners live rent free. Like, I could totally see banks being like, okay, we own this property now, and we're technically your landlord, but as long as you behave and take good care of the property and we don't hear from you much, we'll offer you like a discounted rent on the property and let you keep living
there. They're not even
charging them rent.
There's been people living in these homes for 10 years, all right, who haven't paid a fucking dime. Yeah. Millions of people.
That sounds like a good deal for those people. I think it's awesome that the banks did that. You know what? They have self-interest in that because these banks are also guaranteeing other home loans, so they don't want to see they don't want to see the price of the houses collapse.
That's why.
Yeah, and I'm saying the same banks that are letting them stay don't want the houses it to collapse. So
okay, well here's the thing, right? Where do you think all these mortgages are?
Oh, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Am I wrong?
They're on the Fed's fucking balance sheet right now.
Oh, okay. Well, how much different is that though? Because Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are kind of like the Fed.
I got you, right? But what I'm saying is that if 50% of the people, all right, who have been foreclosed on still live in their fucking houses, 47%, call it 50, fucking to make it an even number, right? You know what I'm saying? That means that the millions and millions of homes that have been foreclosed on, because what was it, 8% of the market?
Yeah, it was a big number.
8% of the market.
But it was also
right?
because 8% of the market was low income housing loan because of the Affordable Housing Act and some other nonsense that went around. But yeah, I got you.
But 8% of the fucking market, we're talking about 4% of all fucking mortgages never went back onto the fucking market. It never went back onto the market. These fucking houses just stayed in these people's hands and they hung the fuck out because the goddamn banks didn't want to fucking crash the fucking market and let the free market do what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, you would think that what they would be doing is if there was a real recovery on the real estate industry, which I don't think there was. What they would do is they would slowly start evicting people and putting the houses on the market. Right, like as soon as they figured out that they could make a decent buck for evicting the people, they would pick them out and put them on the market.
Nah, they're just housing. They housed the shit in the fucking books and gave it to the fucking Fed.
Well, and then if the loans are on the Fed's books, or like I said, even Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, yeah, they're more than happy just to politically do the thing and just ignore the issue.
Yeah. We never dealt with the housing crisis. We just kicked the fucking can down the goddamn road. How about that one there? And I'm saying, like, this is why we're calling this hockey max economics, dude.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we knew that the solutions didn't work, right? And you say it all the time, right? Like, so the problem is that we were addicted to heroin. And then we got real sick, and instead of dealing with the problem, we just gave ourselves a whole bunch more heroin.
Yeah. Like, well, that's what Gerald Celente fucking said. You know what I mean? That's what Gerald Celente and Peter fucking Schiff said. Hang on a minute. Let me fucking PJ Almighty. Welcome, man. Here, have a fucking wrench. Tonka radio.
I'm gonna guess it's Giga, nigga.
It might be. I don't know. You hold up.
Bates, just read what he's saying.
AP is a fucking Jesus fucking Christ, dude. Like, yo, man, listen, dude. Yeah, I ain't got time to be dealing with this shit in the motherfucking chat right now. Hold up, man. We're gonna put user in timeout. There we go. All right, your time to fuck out. Everybody time that nigga to fuck out like fucking a million times. There we go.
Don't worry. Pretty soon, Giga Nigga will be in here with his other ults. And then he will argue with his own ults, and the ones that have wrenches, they will be combating each other.
Right, like, Roman, how can the free market help? Well, it's very simple, right? Like, you just dump this shit onto the goddamn market. Yeah,
you let it work, right?
Yeah, you don't bail the banks the fuck out. You let this shit fall down so that poor people can afford homes. Because at current right now, we have people living in fucking homes for free, right? Because they're not fucking letting them go onto the goddamn market. And while the average cost of a new home is $384,000.
Yeah, and just to make this clear, you get kicked out of a house if you weren't gonna go homeless anyway, you move into an apartment. It's not like owning a house is something that everybody's entitled to do, which was part of the issue with the Affordable Housing Act. People think the idea of paying rent is some sort of slavery. And I was like, no, in fact, paying rent actually for a lot of people, is the absolute best thing they can do, because you are not tied down to any financial investment in the future via a mortgage. You're not tied down to the property. You're not responsible for the property in any way other than, just basic crap, right? Like if something goes wrong in my apartment, I call my landlord, they fix it. Nothing comes out of my pocket. So there's a lot of benefits to renting. And there's reasons you would do it. Like I could go buy a house right now. I don't want to. First off, I don't need a house.
Yeah, I feel you. Right. Like, yeah, it's on that level where like it's kind of like the difference between me owning the truck and me motherfucking standing here working for a company that has a truck, right? And gives me a truck. Like, why would I own my own truck when I can have somebody else take care of all the goddamn maintenance, pay for the fucking fuel, and do all the bullshit that needs to be done?
And actually, I want to kind of elaborate on the answer of how can the free market help. So it's not that the free market helps. It's that the market just does what it's going to do. All government can do is intervene and kick the can. Right? Yeah. So the fix for things like this is to let what's going to fail, right? Let all the bad investments fail. And then what's left, if it's useful, people will go buy that up. And it will, eventually restabilize and reach equilibrium. Like, you take a little bit of pain in the short term for long-term stability instead of kicking the can down the road for even more pain in the future.
Well, yeah, and not only that, like, here's the thing, like, your house isn't supposed to be an investment, right? Your house is supposed to be a place where you can live. Well, like, give me a second, man. We got to go through, like, I think one more article. Yeah, we're on the last goddamn article already.
We got two. No, yeah, we have two more.
Well, yeah, we got two more articles. Well, sort of. We got one more article, and then we're gonna get into the shit that like we can have a conversation about. Right. So here's the other one. Last article is 45 million Americans rely on food stamps. 45 million Americans rely on food stamps. Just in general, I wanted to put that up. Just as a number. Like, yo, so everybody understands exactly where we are.
There's 320 million people in the United States.
Yeah, so that's what, like, fucking 15%, something like that.
Yeah,
yeah,
pretty close. It's between 10 and 15% of people.
Yeah, so 15% of United States, 15% of Americans live on motherfucking food stamps, dude.
or have some sort of access to it, and we have an obesity problem. That's one thing. I know that's okay. So I know that's secondary to anything we're talking about, but
yeah,
like, how do you have a country where 45% of people are, 10% of people are getting assistance for food, and we also have an obesity crisis?
Well, here's the other half.
And I'm a fat ass. I'm not going to sit here and lie. I'm just sitting there just think about that for a little bit, and you'll see there must be a problem somewhere with how we're allocating this food stamp money.
Well, this ties into the modern monetary theory, which is why I wanted to have this be the last fucking joint, right? You know what I mean? Like, I don't care about the article. I just wanted the number put up. You know what I mean? Like, because I think it's fucking important to where we are, right? If 15% of our American public lives on fucking food stamps, right? Because when you get into modern monetary theory, it starts talking about how fucking you use welfare programs to be able to supply the individuals who are pushed out of the market, right? And how you can pay for welfare through fucking just standing here printing goddamn money. Like, so, I mean, this ties into the last one. As I said, like, this would feng shui. I told you we'd go through this shit quick. I mean, like, it's not hard to go through 7 fucking articles real fucking fast. It's legitimately not. Like, and especially if we're not really having a major discussion about any of them when it really comes down to it, because, like, it's all leading one into the next, into the next, into the next, into the next. I mean, and actually, I've heard people recently, like economists, stand here and talk about, like, this has been a big thing as of year recent, where they're saying that we've been in a depression. We just don't know it because we've had welfare to here to support the poor.
Well, there's other things to that too. Right? So imagine if during the Great Depression we had the technology and capacity that we have today. Right? Let's say almost the exact same thing happened.
Right.
Like, the reality is even we have all this inflation and crap, but the reality is because of technology, we're more productive than ever. We have more barriers than ever, but we're also more productive than ever. So the idea that another depression would look like the Great Depression of the 30s is ridiculous, because you can't just sit there no matter what happens, like the productive capacity, even in America, which is still, it's pretty crappy, it still leaps and bounds per capita higher than it used to be.
Yo, Mike Q says, fuck it, let him starve. Right. I agree with you, right? And I mean, like, but the bitch is that the vast majority of production, like, hasn't been tied at all to fucking it hasn't been tied to like actual fucking raises for people, like as far as wage growth is concerned. Like production and wage growth is completely unmarried at this point. And that's something that's not proper either.
I get that, and we have all sorts of theories why. My biggest one is actually it's because of inflation, but that's kind of tangential to what we're talking about here.
I don't know if it's because of inflation. You know, I mean, there's a lot of parts of this. Okay, so let's get into modern monetary theory, right? Because I think we're going to tie all this together with modern monetary theory when it comes down to it. And I'll be honest with you, I'm drinking tonight, so like fucking, I'm kind of, you know what I mean, at the moment. I've been up since
me too. I decided I was going to drink tonight also. Like I was good this week, man. I stayed sober almost every night. Except for last night, but I didn't get drunk. I had some scotch left. I only had like a third of a bottle, and I finished it.
Well, I'm gonna tell you like this, man. I've had a rough day. All right, legit. I've had a rough fucking day. All right, so let me tell you about my motherfucking past 24 hours. All right, I went to work yesterday about 3:00 in the morning, which is outside of the norm for me. You know what I mean? Like fucking the whole week's been fucked up. My first load this week didn't leave till like 6 in the motherfucking morning because like shit got fucked up or whatever. Like things took forever and I had to put it back in the door. It was dumb. Then after that, you know what I'm saying? Like everything kind of like, you know what I mean, like went sideways as far as like time was concerned. You know what I mean? They put a new system into my motherfucking truck where like I can't fucking move the truck without it fucking going on the drive line. Which means like I gotta fucking go either 4 miles an hour or not move in order to fucking stay, off the drive line. And then once I got in my truck today, right, or last night at fucking was it last night? Night before. What was it? It was fucking Tuesday night. Yeah, Tuesday night. I got in my truck and fucking I got there at like fucking 3:00 in the morning. Truck wouldn't start. Right. Truck wouldn't motherfucking start. So that means now I got to wait for somebody to come jump this bitch. Right. And I go, dude, my fucking batteries are fucked. Let me take this bitch to the shop. It's like, nah, you can run this motherfucker out, man. Just because the 4-ways were on when you came back. And I was like, you motherfucker. Right. So I left the 4-ways on by accident, but they were only on for like 2 hours. So it shouldn't have killed the battery like 2 hours. In the fucking truck, it has 10 fucking batteries in it. So
I was going to say, that's a truck designed to be able to run a lot of power through it without needing to recharge.
Yeah, absolutely. And they got a sleeper in it. It's not like it's like some bullshit ass bobtail. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's not a fucking like, it's not like a, you know what I mean, day cab or nothing. You know what I mean? Fucking like, fuck the bullshit. Right. So then I stand there and I call for a jump. You know what I mean? Get a jump. I leave. I go up to Boston. I drop off my motherfucking load. I grab an empty. I go to the motherfucking rest area and shit. And I mean, I get there and motherfucking like, I get something to eat and shit, and I leave and I fucking find a place to park. I fucking park along the side of the road in this fucking like picnic area or whatever the fuck it is. And I'm up there in fucking Massachusetts. And I go to sleep and I wake up in the morning, the fuck truck's dead again. It's like, you motherfuckers. Right. 4:00 this morning, or 3:00 this morning, I wake up, you're ready to roll, fucking truck's not ready to go. I had to wait until fucking 5:00 to fucking leave. 5:00, I get in my motherfucking truck, or 5:00, I finally get rolling. I get down the road. I get to 95 in Connecticut, 50 miles above New York City. Middle lane, we're doing 55 miles an hour. My truck dies. I'm stuck in the middle lane with my fucking 4-ways on 95.
Yeah, you're the asshole. You're the asshole. That's the reason it takes me so long to get home from fucking work.
Yeah, I finally got that bitch running. I get it off to the side of the road. I'm gonna fucking drain out the fuel filter. Pour the fuel back into the motherfucking tank and shit. Get down the goddamn road. Fucking struggle getting the fuck back because it's like it don't want to fucking go. I fucking get the fuck back, drop this bitch off in the motherfucking yard, park the motherfucking truck and shit, walk over to the crib, get a shower. Somebody comes and gets me. I go down and get my fucking car back at the motherfucking spot. come the fuck back here. I fucking go grocery shopping, come the fuck back here, eat, chill, set up the motherfucking stream, and now I'm here talking to you, nigga. And I started all this shit at 3 o'clock in the motherfucking morning this morning. That has been my fucking day today.
Sounds like a pain in the ass. I got you. We can get back to shitty days. I've had one recently too.
Yo, by the way, Freedom News Network, Freedom News Network's in the chat, my boy. Motherfucking goddamn, let's be frank. Yo, his channel got goddamn struck.
Yeah, by NBC Universal for a video where, guess what? He wasn't even using clips of NBC Universal. It was just like his title was about Rachel Maddow, right? He had no video, no audio from anything, right? It was just him talking, and they gave him a copyright strike. I told him threaten legal action. Always threaten legal action.
Yeah, legit. You know what I'm saying? Like that's where the fuck it's at. Roman. Headphones, nigga. All right, fine. You're going back up here. Hold on.
I was gonna say, why am I hearing echo? What just happened? I didn't realize you pulled Roman down.
Yeah, I pulled Roman down because I was like, yo, we're gonna go into this bullshit.
Yeah, Roman can type in the chat when he's got his shit ready.
All right. Anyway, so let's get to modern monetary theory, or modern monetary theory, MMT, is a heterodoxical macroeconomic theory that describes currency as a public monopoly for the government and unemployment as evidence that currency monopolist is overly restricting the supply of financial assets needed to pay taxes and satisfy savings desires. MMT is an evolution of charlatanism. Chartalism? I'm gonna go with chartalism. It's sometimes
cartelism.
It's not cartelism, nigga. It's CH, so it's chartalism. And it's sometimes neo-chartalism is a macroeconomic policy prescriptions that have been described as being a version of Abba Lerner's theory of functional finance. MMT advocates argue that the government should use fiscal policy to achieve full employment, creating new money to fund government purchases. According to advocates, the primary risk once the economy reaches full employment is inflation, which can be addressed by raising taxes and issuing bonds to remove excess money from the system. MMT is controversial with active debate. It is theoretically usefulness. It's about its theoretical usefulness and its effectiveness and the risk of its policy descriptions.
All right. Let's stop real quick because we just said a lot of stuff that I think both of us understand.
This is going to break it down.
Not everybody's going to understand.
I know this is going to break it down. All right. MMTs. Let's go through the main tenets so we can understand what's going on. All right. So main tenets are that a government that issues its own money can pay for goods, services, and financial assets without the need to collect money in the form of taxes or debt issuance in advance of such purchases. So, all right, let's talk of this is the big one right here that makes the whole thing retarded. All right. So basically what it's saying is that you don't need to have a tax base right now to be able to pay for shit. You can put that shit off for later and tax your great and great grandkids, which is the idea that you can issue, like, say, 100-year bond. Right? You can issue like 100-year bond for shit instead of standing here actually fucking paying for goods and services or paying for your fucking, government as is needed. It's kind of the deal.
Yeah. So, the best way to think about how this is stupid, I think I have a pretty good analogy. Imagine you just started a society and declared yourself the government. And then you had a whole bunch of people in there that could do different things, and you expect them just to take all these little IOUs and you can make infinite numbers of IOUs and do stuff for you. And that in the end, everything will work out. Right? Just at face value, that seems ridiculous. Like, why would people just take my IOUs? And then I say, well, I'm the only person with guns, right? That's the only reason they're going to take it. But even then, like, okay, so there's no guarantee that they're going to ever be able to, I issue all these. And then they're floating around and people are forced to pay each other with these IOUs that I gave people to do stuff for me. There's no guarantee that those people will be able to accumulate enough IOUs to each other to ever make it come back around and actually be paid off. which means that, you know, just like in regular money, that shit would inflate dramatically, or people would just say F off because they don't have the productive capacity to fulfill the IOUs that I'm trying to tell you to make. So even from a start, right? Like if this was to be a good economic theory, it should be able to work from day one, right? In a theoretical framework where I'm starting a government.
All right, so let me say it like this, right? I think the issue really boils down to the fact that it's a hot hand fallacy, right? And if anybody knows what the hot hand fallacy is, it's basically like if something's happening right now, it's going to continue to happen forever. And in saying something about modern monetary theory, it's because we are the world reserve currency at the moment, right? And that's not to say that we will always be that. Like the moment we stop being the world's reserve currency, like the moment that we stand here and go, you know what, we're no longer gonna fucking stand here and enforce the Bretton Woods agreement. You know what I mean? Like we're no longer gonna fucking continue to give fucking Saudi Arabia free reign to be able to, you know what I mean, use our fucking army as we see fit. You know, like fucking all this shit goes away. You know what I mean? Because like Saudi Arabia will start fucking pricing its oil and whatever the fuck it wants. You know what I mean? Like anybody who wants a goddamn fucking, take it back out again. Take it back out. All right. Right. Like fucking, you know, like anytime that you have like a whole bunch of countries that have to do fucking business in your goods. And I think a lot of people underestimate oil, like legit. They super underestimate the fucking importance of petroleum. Like motherfuckers go,
even though,
man, you know,
even though we're energy independent, it's still the most efficient energy source we have.
Period.
That's all there is to it.
Yeah, not like that. Like
nothing even comes close.
Yeah, nothing. Like legit, you know. Everybody goes, "What about electricity?" You know, fucking electric. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, nigga, do you understand? Like, electricity is not an energy source.
Yeah,
like electricity is generated by like doing something else.
Yeah, so like the only way electric cars actually help with the idea of how much oil or fossil fuel we need, the only way that actually helps is if you you're generating energy at the power plants through some alternative means other than fossil fuels, right? This is like all physics majors will just say this is thermodynamics 101, like energy cannot be created or destroyed, right? Like when you plug a car into an electrical outlet, it's not like magically just refilling its energy. No, that's coming from a power plant that is creating energy in a very similar fashion, but not the exact same fashion as the combustion engine.
Yeah. Well, either that
it's probably burning fossil fuels.
Or it's being created by nuclear energy, right?
Which we have. Yeah, and then a small percentage of the grid might be solar and wind. And that's only because we've just subsidized programs to make that happen, even though it's not cost efficient.
Well, which is fine out west. Right? That's cool in California, Arizona, Texas.
Oh, dude, there's multiple solar farms here. And I'm just like, this is not a great place. It's a temperate area, and these solar farms, like the panels are always facing one way. They're not they don't do any kind of tracking. And when I say solar farms, they're pretty small, but it's like they use just random land that used to be parks and stuff that nobody used, and they throw solar panels in them. And but yeah, it's like it's not helping anybody. Like let's just say the electric bills keep going up around here.
Yeah, like it's kind of on that. I don't know, man. Like we have solar fucking farms around here too, right? Legitimately, and the solar farms around here, like they feed like schools, right? You know what I mean? And like yeah, that might be okay for some of school, but it's gonna be garbage in the wintertime. Like it's not gonna do a fucking thing for you once you have 4 foot of fucking snow on the ground in the winter. Like this is the Northeast. Like this is the mountains of the Northeast. It's a dumb fucking idea, just as an in general fucking thing. Unless you have somebody going out there on a regular basis when it snows to fucking push all the snow off of all the fucking solar panels. It's not worth doing. Like, it's worthless. Like, fucking again, I want everybody to go watch Collapse, which is a fucking documentary by Michael Rupert, and he has a lot of really good information about that, and especially about net energy, which is how much energy do you get out of something versus how much energy do you put into making it. And it's fucking dumb to stand here and think that like any of this shit will actually make any type of fucking difference.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's part of the reason that it's stupid. Like, with the whole thing about solar is stupid in most areas. There are some
Wind
places.
as well.
Yeah, there are some places where you actually at least are getting more energy out of it than what you put into it. But there are zero places where the cost of trying to do so is cheaper than just burning fossil fuels.
Yo, who the fuck is Tony Patriot? Anyway, I don't know. I'll deal with that. I'll deal with that nigga later.
I don't see a Tony Patriot.
I don't know. Like, he's in my motherfucking. He's in that Twitter DM with motherfucking Frank and them. Right? And he said Pnoid is suspended in my fucking chat.
Well, that makes sense.
I troll hard, nigga. I troll hard. It is what it is. I'm one of y'all. You know what I mean? Like, that's how the fuck this operates.
Yeah, I think.
But anyway,
I think Frank understands the other stuff. We'll talk about that later, though. Let's keep talking about modern monetary theory.
All right. Now, the second tenet is number 2. It cannot be forced to default on debt denominated in its own currency.
Yeah.
All right. So, like, all right, let's talk about this. Okay, let's talk about this.
What do you mean by defaulting? That's one question.
All right. So, who there was this country back in the 1920s and 30s and shit, right?
Called the Weimar Republic? That one?
Yeah, right.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? And they had massive amounts of debt that they owed, due to a war and reparations and things of this nature.
Well, and then they fixed everything by being ahead of the curve on modern monetary theory, right?
Yeah, they just printed themselves out of it because they owed debt that was denominated in its own currency. Yeah. And they ended up standing here, paying them with money that was worthless. These fucking German marks that were completely fucking useless and worthless. There was, like, it costs $1 trillion for an egg. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? You can't be forced to default on debt denominated in its own currency. I don't know exactly what they're talking about. Can someone explain this to me?
Okay, so I kind of can, and it's way more intuitive than think it is, right? So they're using default as a technicality, which is why I said, what do you mean by default on your debts? And what they're saying is well, because first off, they don't see money as a commodity. They see it as a credit system, and that the government is at the top of the hierarchy, and they have a monopoly over the credit system, which is money to them, right? So money is not how we think of it, or even most people think of it, which is why at the beginning of the article, they do say this is a heterodox theory, but it's becoming more and more orthodox. But yeah, so what they can do, and very technically, they are right. So if you take this approach, then you can just, if you have a whole bunch of debt denominated in your own currency, and somebody recalls that debt, and you just say fine, and you print off a whole bunch of money, which you don't even print anymore. You just type some zeros in a computer system, and you say, here you go, we don't owe you anything anymore. And the result of that is inflation, right? So what do you mean by default? Yeah, you debase the currency to the point where it's not worth anything, and then everybody that holds your currency can't buy anything with the currency. So technically you paid off your debt. Technically that is true. Because if you accept that I am borrowing money from a country that reserves the right to pay this with IOUs that they're printing off, and send us more IOUs. So if you recall that currency, they can print off as much as they want and give it to you, and it might be worthless after they do it, but technically that is not a default on a debt. Right? That's like, I mean, God, what, like, I'm just trying to think of like how an individual person could do that. It would be very similar if I was writing my own IOUs. And then I promised to pay you back with this, like
I feel like we should play the video from the American Dream from a provocateur network. Like we should play that cartoon. You know what I mean? Like, where they fucking, when a dude stands here and he goes like, I have everybody's gold, and I just start loaning out IOUs, and all of a sudden like pies go from like $1 to $2 to $50 and shit, like, because he just gives out more and more fucking free money. You know what I mean? Because like the money is fucking worthless eventually, because like everybody fucking has it. Like it's dumb. Like that is the stupidest shit I've ever heard. You can be forced to default on your own debt denominated in your own currency.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Like I said, technically, it is true. The Fed can print off all the money they want and give it to whoever they owe money to, and said, "Look, we just promised you $17 trillion. We don't have it, and we made it out of thin air. So here you go." And I was like, "That's how our money's made. That's what you loaned us, right?" So it's, once again, it's technically true, and I guess to some credit, the people that are talking about these theorists, they actually do say that there is a risk of inflation, which is not what I'm hearing. Because remember when I was like, I was fucking losing my shit over a Twitter thread when I replied to Tulsi Gabbard about how we're gonna pay for shit, and then somebody said, "Well, we don't have to worry about how we're gonna pay for these programs because the government, we create our own money." And I was like, "That is, where are you getting this?" And they're getting it from the This is where they're getting it, right? This is where this idea came up.
Yo, this is the hot hand fallacy, right? That's what this is. Like, it's because of the fact we're the world reserve currency, and the rest of the world is starved for our dollars.
Well, yeah, they don't understand that the only reason our money holds the value it does is because of that, right? Jimmy Dore says, petrodollar.
Well,
I'm saying the normies that were driving me up the fucking wall.
Well, it's the petrodollar and whatever other resource you're trying to buy from us, right? So, I mean, like anybody who does, like a lot of other countries who do deals, right? I mean, like, because their currencies are worth two different values, they'll do it in American dollars because the American dollar is so fucking stable, right? And that way they'll end up having dollars so that they can buy oil and goods or whatever the case might be. You know what I mean? So with that being said, this is a hot hand fallacy. Right, because like there's so many fucking transfers and fucking deals and whatever the case might be, and derivatives out here that's denominated in U.S. currency. There's always a need for our fucking currency, and that's only because we're the world's reserve currency. Because let's be honest here, we have the world's most gangster fucking military. But this is short lived, legitimately. Like because a time of reckoning is coming. Because we're not having babies any fucking more.
And the rest of the world is catching up.
Well, no, we're not having babies anymore. And because of the fact that we're not having babies anymore, we don't have a tax base to pay for this shit.
Yeah, which is, that actually brings us to tenant number 4, which is something like, we'll give them a little bit of credit for. They still say that like, eventually you're going to have to raise taxes to a point to remove the excess currency. The issue is that there's not going to be any excess currency, because what you're doing is you're going to eventually be printing money to buy things you can't afford, and then and when that happens, you can raise taxes all you want. Well, like you said, same scenario. There's nobody to pay those taxes.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the deal. Like fucking, when you don't have enough people to pay these fucking taxes long terms, it's one of those things where like fucking, I'm trying to find this fucking thing in here, fucking, where like it's fucking, it stands here and fucking talks about, fucking welfare and shit. right? Which, because that's, you know, I mean, like a big tenet of this is that, you know, I mean, like it stands here and pays for fucking like a lot of it you'll be able to pay for welfare through it. And that's complete bullshit. Like, yo, the whole, like, this whole theory is fucking nonsense. Like, because it's all just standing here. The whole thing is based on the premise that today is going to be the same as tomorrow, right? It's not one of those things where it's able to be reversed. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of
Like,
do.
if you
it's one of those
issue
things where
100-year, if you issue a 100-year bond, then you're tied in for 100 years. It's kind of the deal. You got to make those interest payments for 100 years.
yeah, well, you know, they say they just don't even need to bother with bonds. They just need to print the money.
No. The whole point of this is bond, right? That's the whole point of this, right? Fucking,
Well,
like,
number
yo,
5 says it doesn't need to do it. Does not need to compete with the private sector for scarcity by issuing bonds. Or maybe I'm reading that wrong. Maybe that issuing bonds is the reason they don't need private sector for scarcity.
does not need to compete with the private sector for scarce savings by issuing bonds.
Yeah, I could read that both ways. Maybe I don't necessarily understand what they're going there. But none of this is new either. Like, so full employment, like, that's a term that neither of us really care about because that's a Keynesian term, right? This idea that the economy is fueled by people having money to spend. So we need full employment.
It is. No. Inflation is fueled by fucking people having money to spend, right? Like, that's what happened in the 70s. That was the problem of what happened in the 70s and why we ended up. Did you ever watch my economic live stream that I fucking broke down what the fuck that guy said? Fucking
yeah, well, I would stop you now. Is that I don't think the economy is fueled by people having money. I think the economy is fueled by doing things that are productive.
Well, right? Yeah, but if you have
people having money is a byproduct of it being productive, which the Keynesians they flip that on the head, where they're just like, no, people just need to be have money, like, or be employed in any way to give them money. Doesn't matter. Like, they can dig a hole. You can pay people to dig a. You've heard this before. You can pay people to dig a hole and then pay other people to fill the hole back up. And as long as everybody's employed, we're still happy, even though no productive activity actually took place. Like, that's a derivative of Keynesian logic, where
right
from my standpoint is the economy is based on production.
Okay, yeah, I agree with you on that point, right? So when you're being productive in a productive capacity, like, say, like in the 1950s and 60s, where we're exporting a shit ton of goods, right? And, you know, you have people's wages continually going up. When you have people's wages continually going up, you're going to have more money chasing after products. When you have more money chasing after products and you have products, it will end up fueling inflation.
Yeah, well, and sometimes, like, so prices can go up, and there's two definitions of inflation, which is rising prices or increase of the money supply. You can have prices go up for periods of time and it not actually really be an issue, because all that happened is naturally the money supply is rising, which is what you're saying, but it's rising in conjunction with productivity.
Yes.
If it's rising in conjunction with productivity, it's natural. It's not really an issue.
It is an issue, right? It is an issue. It's an issue for creditors, right? And it's an issue for creditors because you have individuals standing here fucking making more money every year because they're being more productive, because technologically we're becoming more advanced, right?
Yeah, no, I get it.
Like, hang on, right? So you had a problem in the 1960s and 70s where you ended up having individuals taking out mortgages and they were earning more money every year. So, like, the mortgage was ended up being fucking eaten up by inflation, right? And you, like, in the 70s and 80s and shit, you ended up paying basically nothing for your fucking house in fucking, like, real fucking interest rates as far as shit was concerned. So the bank didn't make any goddamn money. right? All their fucking profits were being eaten up because individuals were making more money every goddamn year because the money supply was being naturally fucking expanded, right? So you know, what I mean, because everybody needed more money. Like that's how it's supposed to work. Like if you're gonna have this Keynesian ideology, then you need to have people making more money on the bottom to be able to feed consumption at the top, be able to feed consumption, which breeds corporate profits at the top.
Yeah, and part of the thing I have to say about that is, and this is pretty consistent in a lot of Mises' writings, is that when creditors loan money, they're taking risk, and the interest rate on that money is associated with the risk involved. And if creditors just failed to, properly evaluate what the interest rate should be on a given amount of, money that they loaned out, then it was a bad investment by the creditors, and you have to let the bad investment. You just have to let it happen, right? They can complain all they want, they can fight through it, and then in theory, right, if interest rates are controlled by the market and money is, the demand for money is really high, then you should have really high interest rates on those loans, and that would prevent that issue. But instead, we have artificially controlled interest rates, which is a huge. I mean, that's the biggest thing about the Austrian theory, the business cycle, that you'll hear Peter Schiff talk about all the time, is that these artificial interest rates, excuse me, the artificial interest rates, they get these companies to do exactly like, and I'm going to circle back to our old articles. It makes them think that, okay, it's a good deal for us to take out these loans to buy back our stock and protect our stock price. Because at face value it is, but the long-term consequences of that is it creates a bubble, right? Because it's signaling to the economy that it's a good idea to take out money, even though it's not. Now, if these were market-set interest rates, as more and more people were trying to do this, the interest rates would go up higher and higher, and less people would find this to be a good deal, and you would have less companies in this predicament. They would have to go through other measures other than taking on debt to solve whatever issue they're trying to solve.
Yeah, I mean, and the other half is the fact that you had capitals strictly controlled to be kept inside of this country, right? So like they were stuck here. They didn't have the ability to go overseas to be able to force individuals to compete in labor with places like China, India, Indonesia, Vietnam, or whatever the case might be, right? So Americans kind of had a monopoly as far as labor was concerned, which is how they stood here and had individuals, had their fucking rate, their ability to make money go up. And it's bred that hot hand fallacy, which ended up with all these pensions and shit inside of these jobs.
Well,
which put us to where we are today.
And speaking of that, Taryn Marine is he talks about the Austrian model from time to time. In a lot of the ways, I don't even want to call it the Austrian model, because they're part of Austrian economics is saying, just like you said, like just because things are one way today doesn't mean it's going to be that way tomorrow. That's a big thing with Austrian economics, is why they say, like, look, here's some logical precepts that we can say that are true about the economy. However, whenever you're trying to model these things, and you can't really do that, because you're talking about the aggregate of millions and millions of exchanges between individuals. And what individuals do in aggregate over time is not necessarily going to be constant. Like we can think they are for a time, and for a short period, maybe these models work to have like short-term predictions. Maybe that's useful, but over decades and decades, these models always fall apart.
Yeah, like I'm sitting here, like I'm reading this fucking thing, right? It says Knapp, writing in 1905, argued that money is a creature of law rather than a commodity. Knapp contrasted his state theory of money with the gold standard view of metallism, where the value of a unit of currency depends on the quantity of precious metal it contains or for which it may be exchanged. He argued that the state can create pure paper money and making it exchangeable by recognizing it as legal tender, with the criterion for the money of a state being that which is accepted in the public pay offices.
Well, so he's not wrong if you say that. Well, no, he's not wrong if you say replace that currency is a creature of law rather than a commodity. And then you caveat that you can replace money with currency by the state forcing people to use it as legal tender. Right? But currency is like, that's another thing that the Austrians do. They explicitly state that there is a difference between money and currency, because to the Austrians and people, I subscribe to this theory too, is that really money is it's just a commodity that's so widespread that everybody kind of agrees that even if they don't need it, they will trade for it. Right? That's where the gold standard came from.
Yeah.
Like, it had properties that were useful, and they just said, like, I mean, that's where the term "as good as gold" comes from. Right? If you have gold, even if somebody doesn't need gold, they'll take it for whatever they're selling, because they know that they'll be able to dump it off for whatever they need.
Yeah, I mean, it's, to me, it's the view of force that fucks me up, right? Legitimately, it really is. Like, the fact that like it's something that we truly accept. Like, we accept openly that, you know what I mean, like, you're gonna pay your fucking taxes and whatever in fucking, you know what I mean, US currency and shit.
I mean, I don't, but most people do. Yeah, they take it for granted that that's what's happening there.
Yeah, like, and this is why, like, they get highly upset when you bring in a bag of nickels to pay a fine. You know what I mean? Like, fucking, they get really mad at you about that shit, because you're like, you're finding a loophole in a thing where you're still paying with coins and shit. But like, really, you should be able to pay with whatever the fuck it is you have to pay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
if all I do is run a chicken farm and all I have is a ton of eggs, if somebody at the convenience store is willing to take it, I should be able to just go in there with a giant pallet of eggs and pick up whatever he's willing to give me for them. Yeah,
that's kind of the situation.
But that you can't do that. In fact, this is an old issue. There's no way I'm gonna find the article, because back in like 2007, it was kind of low key. But there was this person that was paying his employees with U.S. legally printed gold coins that were, as far as the U.S. Mint was concerned, were $50 coins. Now, the value in gold for each of those coins was like, I don't know, $600 or something ridiculous. But he was trying to use it as a loophole. It was a loophole, to be honest, saying that, no, this is legal tender, and it says the legal tender is worth $50. Now, just because these people go off and sell that legal tender for $600 doesn't mean I didn't pay them $50.
Yeah, I don't know.
And of course they lost that in court, right? The IRS, the IRS will not let you fuck with them, even if you're right. There's never been a court ruling against the IRS.
Well, no, you can't win against the fucking IRS, because like, the IRS is, you know what I mean, their way of fucking collecting fucking revenue. Like, I don't know, the whole thing is patently perverse. It really is. And as I said, man, like, my theory legitimately is that we need to get rid of some of the taxes on us. Like, we need to choose one way to tax individuals instead of taxing them in every fucking way possible. You know what I mean? Like, you can't continue, like, go, because what it originally was like, you had land tax. That's how the fuck we funded government. And then, you know, we added in fucking tariffs. And then we added in, you know what I mean, fucking sales taxes. And then we added in motherfucking, you know what I mean, state fucking income taxes and fucking whatever over a certain amount. And then we added in, you know what I mean, fucking federal income taxes. You know, and then we added in motherfucking like extra fucking nonsense. Yeah. And like, so every time you do it, like, you keep adding more and more layers on, but you're not taking any of them the fucked off, which needs to be dealt with.
A lot of what happened there, and I've thought about this before, but, you know, at some point, like, you know, when this country was founded, we had some taxes, and occasionally we'd bring up more taxes. But we talked about taxes, like, and government as a necessary evil. Not something we actually wanted, but we believe needs to exist in order to keep society proper. Now you have people talking about how we need to tax the crap out of the rich because there's something inherently good about stealing money from people that earned it.
Well, here's the thing, man. I don't have a problem with taxing the rich, right? Like, I don't have an issue with that, right?
I don't necessarily have a problem with a reasonable progressive income tax for practical purposes. But
well, let me put it like this, right? Like, I think that our monetary supply should be kept to the point of where the poor can have a standard of living at the median fucking minimum wage, right? Like, you should be able to afford a 1-bedroom apartment at $7.50 an hour.
I strongly disagree.
I don't because, like, yo, think about it like this, right? Think about it like this. 20 or 30 years ago, you could.
Well, yeah, it was, but that's not a matter of should you? No, well, yeah, $7.50 an hour you could, but never at the minimum wage. The minimum wage was never high enough for you to be able to afford shit.
At $5.15 an hour, I could afford a bullshit 1-bedroom apartment working 40 hours a week.
Maybe, but it doesn't stand like you're saying should is that. I mean, that's a question of how strong is the economy and like what is causing the prices to be so high.
It's about how strong is our currency.
Well, that too. It's both, right? Well, so yes, I said from the beginning that earlier that inflation is a taxation on poor people. But I'm not going to sit here and talk. I'm not going to sit here and talk like there should, because I don't even believe there should be a minimum wage. And I also don't think that there's a set value you can say that people are entitled to make, regardless of what they're doing.
Well, no. I mean, because wait, we can get to that logical conclusion. We can, right? I mean, like, so here's where it should be. Okay. It should be at the level of where you can afford housing, transportation, and basic necessities, right? At a fucking certain amount of money, right? Like, there has to be a certain amount of money where you can afford a basic living, right? Just to be able to survive as a human being.
Yeah, well, there is, but there's no way to guarantee that to any individual.
Well, I agree with you, but I think that we should be able to maintain the currency at that point.
Yeah, no, yes, okay. I'll agree with that. Like, I think that any fluctuations in the currency should be right. So I would prefer money, but the fluctuations in the currency should be way more natural and not and this is something I guess we didn't really explain to people. So part of the problem with this modern monetary theory, and they have the hierarchy of money, is that there actually are market forces behind what money is worth. So whenever the government prints $17 million and gives it to the banks, right, that money's not really in circulation yet. So when the bank spends it, that money is actually worth more than the next person that gets it. So by the time this money that just popped out of thin air gets down to your average Joe, the inflation has already taken place, and prices are already rising. And their wages are probably lagging behind the prices, even because the companies producing the goods are getting the money before the increase in wages kicks in. So the wages are always lagging behind. So and actually, so this was part of the video I was watching beforehand, where they were talking about how the monetary theorists kind of put money in a hierarchy. One thing that accurately that guy pointed out was exactly what I just said, is that so when you do this in the hierarchy, as the money that is created out of thin air goes down the chain, market forces drive down the value of that money, so prices go up, and before it gets to the last piece of the hierarchy, which is your individual average Joe, it is worth less than it was when the government first spent it.
Well, I mean, like, we're having this fucking discussion, right? Like, I mean, like, I'm standing here and I'm looking at it as like a long-term solution for everybody, right? Like, the ultimate real solution is to have real money that fucking has value today and has value tomorrow, right? Because, like, how the fuck is it that you save for college? How do you save for retirement? How do you have a number that you can hit to save for all those? Like, yo, because if your money continues to be more and more worthless, like, what the fuck, you know what I mean, is the goddamn point?
Well, no,
You know what I mean?
so yeah, we're totally. I think we just started from a different starting point and ended up in the same place. Yes, that's an issue. I mean, there's other things we could talk about with the education, like a lot of the questions is why is shit so expensive these days. Is look at the amount of government regulations, restrictions, and barriers to entries that have been imposed on every aspect. Even housing, like a lot of why real estate prices can never be affordable in cities is bullshit zoning laws. Like places that there's no reason to even have a zoning law, they say you can't build here. You can't build an apartment complex here. Even though we need apartment complexes, you can't build it where you want to build it.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's just like fucking, you know, like if you buy like a piece of land, right? Like for instance, like there's a lot of these places where like I look on landwatch.com for like land and shit, right? And you know, I mean, you look at them and they say, oh man, you know, you can buy this piece of land, but you know, you have to have a certain size fucking house, right? And you know, I mean, you have to use this fucking contractor. Or like fucking, you know, according to local regulations, you can only zone it this fucking way. And all that is complete and utter bullshit. Legit. Like all of that shit is fucking nonsense. Like all that should be done away with. Like there should be no control over what you do with your fucking property. Like period. Like altogether. And I agree with you on that level, but on the same point, it still gets down to the base level of the currency, right? Like how much money, what is the value of your fucking currency? And when your currency is constantly being fucking devalued, you know what I mean? Like, you know, you have to fucking have the ability. Like, it ends up fucking over everybody in your society, especially the poor. Like, especially. You know what I mean? When it really comes down to it. Tara Marine's like, what's fucking MMT? Modern monetary theory is what the fuck we've been goddamn debating.
No,
for the past
I get
like
that.
40 minutes.
Sometimes I don't put the word like the full words with the acronym. I understand.
Right, yo, like yo, nah, like yo, I said what MMT was in the beginning. Like yo, you was here, he was busy talking about some extra shit, right? You know what I mean? But anyway, yo, look, man, it's been like an hour and a half, so like yo, we're gonna get the fuck off of here. You know what I mean? I'm gonna go and grab my laundry. I'm gonna go to fuck to sleep because I'm goddamn exhausted.
All right,
You know what I mean?
so you're not gonna follow Frank's call to arms. I'm
debating on it. Yo, I might show up there for like a minute.
I'll go. I was gonna say I'll go represent for you again for 30 minutes or so if you want.
Yeah, I'm gonna go over there and I'm gonna motherfucking curse that dude out for fucking standing there, not having me on his channel, or fucking banning me from his channel.
Use politically correct curse words.
All right, man. Yo, we're gonna get the fuck out of here. Thank you everybody for coming the fuck out tonight. It's really appreciated. Excel, thank you for motherfucking running this bitch. You know what I'm saying? You know the situation. I love you, my brother. I wouldn't be here without you. You know what I mean? In the meantime, man, yo, Excel, shut this bitch the fuck down, nigga.
Literal.